Not being done.
Okay, good. Thank you for joining this evening. Welcome.
We're here at EO Live with our friend Justin Rock, who is running for mayor. And just very quickly want to go through a couple quick things. Again, we are live and we do appreciate your respectful feedback. And if you have questions, we would love to hear some of your questions as well. This program is paid for by the committee to elect Justin Rock for mayor. Also, again, those questions can come to the Facebook postings, questions at EO Live TV. You can also find Justin's website and ask questions there. He has said, as all candidates do, please feel free to either email, text, or get a hold of him on his Facebook page, rockformayor22@gmail.com. So let's get right to this. We've got a lot to talk about this evening. We have a unique opportunity to sit with a sitting city council man who is now running for mayor. And so Justin Rock, welcome. It is a pleasure to sit down and visit with you.
Appreciate it, Bob. Right
on. Okay, so now this is a little bit different forum than I think you're used to or we're used to. We're used to more of a forum where questions are hitting you. You've got to think quickly. This is more like a fireside chat where you and I get to sit down and visit and just talk about who you are, what you believe, what your strategies are for the city of LeGrand, how you deal with all the different opinions that come your way and how you're going to deal with them as we look to the future, and also how you're going to face the future, because we are entering into some exciting times, I'll put it that way, and leading the city during this time is going to be a moment, I think, that will reflect one's leadership abilities. And so, are you ready? Let's get to this, shall we?
Always ready.
First question, Justin, tell us who you are. Who is Justin Rock? I know a little bit about you.
Sure.
Retired military, you own a business. So take this elevator speech, 30-second speech, and tell us, who is Justin Rock?
Not retired military. I served in the military.
Served in the military, thank you.
I did 4 years in the Marine Corps, and I do appreciate that. Born and raised in LeGrand. I've worked, the funny thing is I've had 2 jobs in my life. The Marine Corps and then working at my family's business that I do now own. I've owned it for 20 years, doing tires, working on cars, towing, many things like that.
Sure.
And then after the Marine Corps, of course, came back and once again went right back to it. Just working on cars and being a business owner, a small business owner, and in our lovely town of LeGrand.
Sure. Okay. Now, here's one thing that we need to talk openly about, so those who are watching us live stream and maybe watch later will understand you are a quiet guy. I would say you're reserved. However, you've said that there are times that you're not so reserved.
Correct.
And so I'm going to do my best to draw out who Justin Rock is so the viewers can see you and understand you and know you. And so let's do this. Tell us, why are you running for the mayoral job?
After 17 years serving this community, I just wanted to keep continuing, and I think the next step for me is running for mayor. In my whole life, I've been bred to be a leader. From working for my family to the Marine Corps. I always played a different roles of leadership in the Marine Corps, which gave me a strong, backbone.
Sure.
And then coming back here, and at first, me and my father took over the business from my uncle, and we worked together as leaders. And now I am the sole owner, and definitely the leader of the family to, keep improving our business from day to day.
Okay, and I would imagine, because you own a business, you understand how a business is run.
Correct.
Perhaps will that splash over onto this mayor job for the city? What do you think?
Definitely. Yeah. I think a small business owner, we have a little bit different view on certain things. And I've always tried to be very conservative on everything I do, because we are spending the citizens' money. And so I try to do what I think is best for the community as a whole, not just for a few groups.
Okay. In fact, you bring up something interesting. So I have sat in on some city council meetings. Some of them are heated, some are boring, frankly, no offense, and I hope our viewers don't misunderstand what I'm saying.
Me, I agree with you.
There's some monotony. Maybe monotonous is a better word than boring. You have a unique style about you. As you soak in the information, one would look at you and think, okay, he's quiet, is he engaged, is he not? And then all of a sudden you speak up when the time is appropriate, and then you have some wisdom that you interject. Why do you take that approach? What is that about?
I've always tried to be very thoughtful on everything I say. When we're discussing an issue, I try to look at both sides and I try to soak it in. Think of what would be best for for the whole city. I don't want to just vote on something that I think that's going to help a small portion of it. I want to try to do what I think would help us now, in the present, and in the future.
Okay.
You know, and so yes, sometimes they might think I'm quiet, but you talk to most people I know, I am not quiet. I can be a very loud person.
Sure.
But in the same sense, you know, in our position, we need to think.
Yeah.
We need to sit back. We need to listen. You know, that is a key point of a good leader is someone that can listen. And when it is time, that's when you speak up.
There you go.
And that's when you make your point. You know, a lot of times the point's been made, so I don't see why I need to bring it up again and just keep beating the horse down the road. You know, the horse is running. We don't need to keep beating
There you
it.
go. There you go.
So, you know, and that's why I don't, because a lot of times my point has already been made. But if my point is not made and I feel very strong about it, trust me, you will hear me.
Okay, there you go. And that is that calm, quiet passion that you have for the city that I personally have observed. Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, as a candidate and as someone who's on the city council, let's talk about your background a little bit briefly with the city. You've been involved with the city how long?
17 years.
Okay, so you've been in some capacity on a council, on a group. Talk about what you've done with the city in the last 17 years.
Sure. Actually, I'll tell you the very first starting of this.
Okay.
You know, we were trying to get our towing bid. And so unfortunately, it did not go our way, even though we were the lower bidder at the time. And so I thought it was very unfair. And so I was angry. And I
Okay, so
stood
your
up.
business
Yes.
was going to, okay.
That's
so you
what
get a
brought me
contract.
into it. And
Okay,
so
interesting.
I didn't think it was fair. And so when you don't think something's fair, you join along.
Sure.
And so I decided to run my first for the council. And unfortunately, I did not win. I lost by 50 votes.
Oh, no.
And I hate to lose.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
You know, and my opponent was, you know, he was young like me at the time. But unfortunately, I was not informed. You know, I did not know how everything worked. You know, I was a strong head. I was young, fresh out of the Marine Corps, so I had that little chip on my shoulder.
Okay.
You know, but it knocked me back, and it made me think. You know, what do I need to do to accomplish this goal? Because I wanted to be a city council member. I want to serve my community. I want to help. So I joined the Planning Commission, which is a very important part of our city.
Sure.
You know, if we don't have a good planning commission, the city is not going to thrive.
Sure.
We're not going to progress because we're not going to get the rules that we want. We're not going to make things that are better for LeGrand. And so that's why I spent 2 terms. And of course, on the Planning Commission, if you serve 2 terms, you actually have to take a year off. So I took a year off. Then I went back and did my next year. And at that time, I decided to run for city council. And I did well. And so I've had 2 elections so far, and I've won both of them.
Okay.
And so now I'm running for mayor, and we'll see. And hopefully I'll keep my winning streak going
Okay.
as I have in the past.
Okay, so that makes me think of this. Talk about, because of your experience on the Planning Commission, City Council, talk about how that will help or impact you as you move forward and let's say you win this mayoral race.
Correct.
How will those experiences help you in that new position as a mayor?
You know, with that much time sitting on the different committees and councils, I know how the meetings work. I understand why we don't do things. You know, being in the Planning Commission, I understand why we have the rules and regulations. You know, there's things that, yes, I would probably want to go a different way, but I know we can't because the rule states that we cannot. You know, and so then we set up the city for, you know, legal issues. And so, you know, councilors have to be knowledgeable enough to know, yes, this is what we can do. And in the same sense, that's why we have the different departments in the city.
Okay.
That's why we have the directors, which we have very good directors.
Sure.
You know, and without them, we cannot do our job. You know, I work on cars. You know, I run a business. That is what I do. These are my expertise. Their expertise is running the different parts of the city. So we lean on them to inform us, to explain why or what we need to do to help them better everything for the citizens. Because ultimately, we're all serving the citizens. That is our job.
There you go.
You know, we are supporting, making sure that they have the police to protect them. We have the fire to protect them in case of fire and the ambulance, when that needs help, they are there.
Sure.
We have amazing police and fire department.
We do. And one of the things that we who live in this county and who are involved in this different cities in our county, LeGrand is considered the hub. I think that even says so on the city walkway
Right
there.
across the street. Yes,
there you
it
go.
does.
Okay. So as you think of that and you think about your platform that you're running on, talk about what it is. What is your platform? If you could key in on one or two things or issues that you say, this is my platform. LeGrand is the hub of our county, and I know you well enough to know that you want to partner with people. You want to build bridges and go hand in hand, move forward. So talk about how will you utilize this hub mentality, and what is your platform to get that out to the different people in our community?
Just like anything in life, it's better to have friends than enemies. And so to work with the adjacent cities, to work with the county, where we all can work and do the best we can for the citizens. If we're fighting amongst each other and trying to, nobody's going to progress. We're not going to thrive as a county. We need to work together. Yes, as mayor, I work for the city of LeGrand. The citizens of LeGrand are my people that I am working for. So ultimately, yes, that is who I'm going to be doing what I'm doing for. But in the same sense, I want our county to thrive, because if the county thrives, we thrive.
Sure. Okay. Which it makes sense. And then the question following that would be, how do you plan to do that, to execute on that? What is your thought around that?
To start off, communication is key. I think one of our things is we've been, getting better at it, but my thing is to work on communication. We need to have better communication between the leaders, better communication to the citizens. Like I said, is I want people to know that I'm the mayor that you can come to, you can speak to. Unfortunately, can I fix everything? No.
Sure.
I am not Superman, but I will listen to everybody.
Okay.
I do not have a problem. Our views might not be the same, but we can sit down as adults, have a conversation. I can tell them what I can do for them, and unfortunately at the end, yes, we might walk away disagreeing, but at least we can have to sit down and have a conversation as adults.
Absolutely. Okay, you said something interesting. You said, I'm not Superman.
No,
Well,
I'm not.
And no one would expect that. But I would say that does bring up a question in some people's minds around, okay, well then, what is a mayor's primary responsibility? What does a mayor really do? Talk about that. In your mind, what is the primary role, duties of the mayor? What does a mayor do?
In the city of LeGrand, we have a city manager. That is the person that runs day-to-day operations. As a mayor, you're basically the chairman of the council. It is my job to lead the council and ensure that each one of them are getting their chance to speak, that all their opinions are being heard, and making sure that we make the best decision to fit the city as a whole.
Sure.
I want to make sure that we are truly listening to everybody. Like I said, being one of 7 people, you're not going to change anything.
True, and I would agree with you. I do think the mayoral role is someone who does unify this council.
Correct.
And face whatever the issue of the day is, and then also talk about how we can make that a better relationship and move forward with some type of action. Okay, I really quickly want to talk about a little different subject.
Sure.
You have a unique mindset when it comes to this race, this mayoral race. There's a opponent, someone who's running against you.
Correct.
You've done something unique where, as far as you're concerned, that's not really where you want to go. You want to focus more on you and
Correct.
where you're going. So can you talk more about why that is? Let's face it, in this age when it comes to politics, mudslinging seems to work sometimes.
No.
But you're not buying that. You're not having it. So why is that?
I think we need to hold ourselves to higher ground. We need to have higher standards. And the gentleman I am running against, he has them as well. I truly do respect him because he's stayed positive through his whole campaign, as I have done with mine. I have never went negative in any of my campaigns, and I won't. If I can't win being who I am, I'm not going to change who I am to win to be mayor. Because I think a good leader, you should be able to be able to win on your own credit.
Yeah.
I don't need to discard or discredit my opponent to make myself look better.
Okay.
And like I said, I have respect for Matt. Matt has done an amazing job of being very positive. He's always very outgoing when I see him. And I respect that, and I respect him.
Yeah. That says a lot, Justin, because again, in this day and age, we're not seeing a lot of that.
No,
and
we're
so commend you for that as well. Okay, we talked briefly about some key issues that you believe are on the voters' minds.
Correct.
Now, throughout all kinds of elections, you hear whatever their platform may be. It may be snow removal, it could be potholes, it could be roundabouts, it could be business development, who knows, whatever that.
Roads is always number one. But we are fixing that. You know, we just passed a very large sum of money from the ARPA funds are going to go to the roads. Geckler, they've already completed, and I know they're working on 16th. Might have it completed, I'm not sure. Haven't been by 16th, so I don't know for a fact. But they're making things better, you know, and we can always improve.
Okay.
You know, there is no great answer for roads because roads are expensive.
Sure.
You know, I'm sorry, but being on the council for the last 8 years, number one thing you always hear about is roads.
Sure. Okay, so with that in mind, that's an issue clearly that are on the
Very.
voters' minds. As you think about today, what we are going through after COVID, what's on the minds with our economy, we look at our rural communities. Growth is inevitable.
Correct.
You know, we all know that. We see what's happened in Central Oregon, and many folks who live in Union County don't want that type of growth, but they do want some type of growth.
Unfortunately, we can't sustain any of that kind of growth at the moment because of the housing market.
Sure.
You know, the housing market is the other big, huge key issue.
So that's one you would say is one of the five, let's say top five in your mind. Was that one of the top five?
It would be, definitely.
Okay, talk more about it then.
You know, and that's not an easy one. You know, and one of the things on the ARPA fund is we want to go to infrastructure to help build water and sewer. So the only place that we really could expand would be out by the freeway.
Okay.
What is that, over on 26th? There's a large piece of land that is already, actually, when I was in the planning commission, you know, they came in, we did the plotting for the subdivision to carry on to East L and all those. But I think truly that's the only place that we have to grow.
Okay.
You know, a lot of our places, yes, we have a lot of houses, but we need more.
Sure.
You know, I was reading a thing from the Observer, I can't remember, it was 38 houses been built in 2021. And one of the big issues
That's in the
right
city of
now-
LeGrand.
In the city of LeGrand.
Okay.
And 46 of the houses have been turned into overnight stays, what are they called? The
Airbnb,
Airbnbs,
sure,
things like
Airbnbs,
those.
yeah.
And I think it's a great way of income and tourism, but in the same sense, you need to have the houses in order to do that.
Sure.
When we're using up those houses for Airbnbs, you're taking away from the workforce because you don't have a place for those folks to live.
Sure.
And so that is a major issue.
Justin, I have to tell you, I can't imagine the balancing act that needs to take place between business development. You're right, we have a housing issue, we have low income housing we have to think about as well. So with that said, we're going to pause very quickly.
Perfect.
And we're going to take a quick break. So we want to invite you to hang on. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Being on the council for the city of LeGrand is a nonpartisan position. As mayor, I think we need someone on there that is willing to look at both sides of the story. If I'm elected mayor, my job will to try to have everybody work together and make the best decisions that is best for the citizens as a whole, not for special groups or one side. We've been too negative in the world these days. I like to see things become more positive. We can't deal with the big stuff, but we can definitely help and work with what we can here at home. I will work to be positive, make LeGrand strive, and everybody's voice be heard. We need to listen to everybody as the citizens as a whole.
Well, welcome back. Okay, we are spending some time with Justin Rock. He is a candidate for the mayor position here in LeGrand. A couple quick things to remind you, this is a paid program, paid for by the committee to elect Justin Rock for mayor. Also, if you have any questions, we ask you to post your respectful questions. They can be submitted to Facebook, and it's questions@eoalive.tv. Also, if you have a question for Justin and you'd like to reach out to him directly, you can absolutely do that. You can email him at rock4mayor22@gmail.com. Okay, we're back. All right, so
you, Bob.
good break, got a
Yeah.
drink, moved a little bit. So we're talking about what you believe are your top 5 initiatives that you feel are important to the average voter like me.
Correct.
So we've talked about housing, we've talked about a few other things. So give us a few others. What do you think are the key priorities that are on the minds of the voters today?
You know, another big one I think of, which maybe not for the voters, but as me becoming mayor, I would like to look at our employment of police and fire.
Okay.
You know, we are at this point now fully staffed.
Okay, now
but
let me interrupt. Fully staffed, what does that mean?
that's where I'm going to get to. Real quick.
Okay, take it away.
So, what I want to look at is when we say we're fully staffed, how many calls were we getting? Because the call volume is increased, both for fire and police.
Okay.
And so I would like to see where we're at, and I would like to restructure that. You know, I in the same sense, it comes down to, though, we need the money. You know, you got to have the money to put another police officer, another firefighter. But I truly think we need to readjust those numbers.
Okay.
Because they need help, you know, and I think we're going to have to work at it. It's not going to be an easy answer, but I think myself and the other counselors and the staff, we can restructure. And that does help, you know, bringing another police officer on will help with some of the issues that we're having, you know, and with the theft and different things. Just the presence of the police helps. Now, is it going to fix it? No. But can we help it? Yes, we can definitely help.
Sure. So, and you've probably got some folks who are listening, their ears are perking up now. Is he saying rearrange or reorganize the police
No.
to downsize,
No, sir.
to upsize, or to just take an honest assessment of the needs of our local community and apply it that way? So, talk
Honest
to that.
assessment, see where we're at, and see what we can do about increasing.
Okay.
Never decreasing.
Okay.
Increasing.
Okay, just for clarity, fantastic. Okay, so we've got housing, we've got police, fire, we've got all those. Give us a couple more issues you believe. And by the way, I do think police, fire, and all that is very important
Well,
to the voters.
You know, the citizens, their safety is number one.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's where everything falls into play. You know, you have to protect your citizens. You have to have public works. You know, they are very crucial departments.
Yeah.
You know, and so as mayor, you know, communication, my number one thing that I want to do that we just started with the sitting mayor is we go out and visit. We sit down with the people. You know, it didn't happen very often, but if I do become mayor, that is one of my big things that I am going to push is myself and a couple of the other counselors. Of course, we have a certain amount of numbers that can only go out. We can't do more than 3 people.
Sure.
But myself and a couple of counselors rotating through, so each one of them have a chance to sit down with the different departments and see what they need, see what we can do to help them, to help the citizens.
Wonderful. I think that's a wise thing to do. Let me throw one at you. So we've talked on a few key issues you believe are important to the voters. I would say, as I'm out in the community, economic development is always
It's always huge.
on the mind.
Yes.
We've got an interesting workforce. We do. It feels like we've got more jobs than we do workers.
Definitely.
But then we find too, are these livable wage jobs or are they low-end jobs? And I don't mean to sound disrespectful to someone who's working that job. That's very important. But how are you as a mayor going to partner with the city council and say economic development? We have many economic organizations who want to see economic development happen. Talk more about that. What do you see happening?
You know, as a city, all we can do is continue on with the urban renewal as we've done in the past, and it is help. You know, I mean, each business that gets help from urban renewal, though, there is a lot of investment by that individual that is doing it. You know, yes, we have assisted them, but the people, men and women, they're putting that all they have into their business. Those are the ones investing. And so we need to keep helping them.
As you know, as a business owner.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, we know NEO, EDD, we know the Chamber of Commerce, we've got LeGrand Main Street, we've got a lot of
Amazing.
organizations that
Yes.
are committed to the economic development in a positive light. Now, you mentioned a phrase or a term, urban renewal.
Correct.
And so as I smile thinking about it, there are two sides to that. And some people love it, some people are not such a fan.
Correct.
So can you tell us what is it and what is your stance around it?
So urban renewal, It's taken me a long time to understand, and I am definitely no expert. I don't think there is any experts on it because that is how much it evolves. And I mean, it is very complex. But basically what happened is back in the early 90s, they put a cap on a district. So you fall down Adams and certain, far out, I can't remember how much far out, but basically Washington Jefferson, I think, runs along, and that creates our district. And so when they did that, at that time it put a cap. So any taxes that are going to increase from that on will go into the urban renewal, so that we have money to invest into different projects to help bring up our community.
Okay.
The thing is, though, is it has been growing. Because the thing is a lot of people, one of my things that I do like to do is the underlevy.
And that was actually,
And that is a very
So
tricky
how are you going
answer.
to weave that together? Weave that in. So tell us.
The underlevy, basically what we've done in the past is we will go and finance all programs that we got going. And then any of that excess, it's going to go back to where it actually belongs. I know a lot of people think that we're taking money from one thing and giving it to the general fund. Well, no, that's actually where it belongs, and that's where it should be. But we are also getting this amazing program that we can help. We can help downtown. We can help the buildings downtown. We can do improvements. Hines is a great one. The Landing.
I was going to ask you, give us some specific examples of who has benefited from urban renewal, and then talk about some of the benefits they are experiencing as well. So you mentioned Hines, and then you also the Landing.
The Landing.
Okay.
And then, what's the one across the street? I can never remember the one across the street from the Landing.
Oh, it's the local.
There we go, the local, yes.
Now that's interesting, because what you're saying then is that these funds that were designed for this district to help stimulate business development
Correct.
took that gas station that, frankly, it wasn't, in my mind, and forgive me, I don't want to be opinionated, wasn't going anywhere.
No.
But yet here we have this beautiful, thriving business that is a restaurant, lunch, hangout, food. So
Amazing.
Talk about that.
Well, look at it too. You drive down through there versus having a vacant building. Now we have somebody, and it's not the city. It's the people that are investing. Those are the ones we need to thank, because they have taken buildings that are eyesores, and there's plenty more. I mean, just driving down through downtown. If you were to look at downtown 20 years ago and look at it now, there is a huge change. Unfortunately, we do have empty buildings. I would love to see those filled. But in the same sense, we need people that are going to take that risk.
Sure.
Because being in business every day is a risk. You have to put basically everything that you have and who you are into that business to make it be successful.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people that are not business owners don't know that. But me, I love my business. It is who I am. Being a mayor is not going to make me who I am. A small business person is who I am.
Sure.
Citizen of LeGrand is who I am. Being mayor is just me giving back to the city. Volunteering my time to help the citizens. That is who I am, and this is why I'm running for mayor.
And it's a noble thing to do as well. And we all, those of us who know you, we see that in you. You are a servant at heart, and we see that. Okay, let's talk about just a couple more things on the urban renewal. Again, for the viewers who are watching, there are some who they're not having it.
Correct.
They whenever they hear the word investment, that is not really what they're seeing. They're seeing dollars that they're not sure should be used for this or could be used for that. Is it public record? So if someone wanted to find out.
Oh, it's very public record.
Okay, so if someone
you
wanted
could
to
go
find
on the
out.
web page for the city,
Okay.
and everything we've done, and we've actually worked on it. Trust me, the first few urban renewal meetings, because they're special sessions where we sit down, and then of course we have a grading system of each project. We're looking at investment. We're looking at Blythe. Building is
Talk
sitting
about
there.
Blythe. Our viewers may not understand what that means.
Sure. So Blythe is when we have a building that is sitting vacant, that definitely needs some repairs, and that's where the urban renewal comes in and helps the citizens, invest into those properties. And the funny thing is we're not giving them that much money. when you look at the overall investment, it's a very small amount. You know, but the good thing is, like, getting back to what I was trying to say is, with the process, we have a very strict list of things that we are looking through. And we're trying to make sure the ones that we're investing is what's going to give back to the city and the community the most.
Sure. Well, and with that in mind, we who live here have seen these vacant, pretty much torched out buildings turned into a beautiful attraction. We've got a bowling alley now. We have the local, we have the landing, we have Heinz Meat. So for the viewers, again, the financial component of this is important, and at some point it can be conflictual. So there is a place we can go see the investment that was made for the bowling alley, the investment for this and for that. Okay, good. I think that would be helpful for those who don't know and who maybe don't understand the way you do.
Correct.
Can go in and take a look at that. Okay. Talk about, now there's something that I hit you with before we're going to hit you with. Like, I'm going to hit this guy. I mean, anyway, I apologize for saying it that way.
I couldn't chase you right now, so that'd be fine.
I'd be gone. I'd be missing tomorrow. But as far as measuring success, we had talked the other day, and just thinking out loud, you know, we've got some pretty exciting opportunities for our entire region, let alone the city of LeGrand. So we've seen what I would say are some successes. That is my opinion. But we talk about the local, we talk about Heinz, we talk about some of these other ones that are beneficiaries of this urban renewal.
Correct.
On the outside, it looks like they are successful. Would you agree?
Oh, they're very successful.
So how would you, or do you, or going into this mayoral job, how would you measure success? So as you're investing, as you're making decisions, as you're moving forward with whatever that initiative is, do you have anything in the back of your mind that you'd say, the way we're going to make sure this is successful, I would like to see what?
You know, if we can continue providing the main structure of services to the citizens, we are successful.
Okay.
You know, if we can keep the library going, keeping the pool going, the beautiful parks that we have in LeGrand, you know, those are success. Because there is a lot of cities that don't have those.
Sure.
And so, in my eyes, that is a success. You know, and like I said, maintaining the main services to protect our citizens are number one. If we can continue doing that, we are successful.
There you go. Okay. Which that makes a lot of sense too. And you're right. This city has a lot to offer. And so when you think about what the city has to offer, you'd mentioned the parks, you mentioned the pool, you mentioned the library. If you were to answer some questions around what would attract people to this region, to this area.
Look in the middle of our valley and look up the hills.
Talk more about this.
Look at I mean, Mira. You know, and that's not the city. That's more the county. But I was part of that. You know, I was on the Mira committee from the beginning, and it was about a year and a half ago. I actually had to step away because it just have too much going on.
Sure, I can imagine.
And so I know my limitations, and I didn't want to take away from being a counselor, and so of course I stepped down from that committee. But that is an amazing thing that there was a lot of men and women put a lot of time and effort into, and that attracts people.
Sure.
The marsh, you know, that's another.
You mean Landmarsh?
Yes, sir.
I hear good things about that place.
Yes. You know, we have from bird watchers to hunters. I mean, where we live, there's a reason why we live here.
Yes.
We love our community. We love, you know, the surroundings that we have. And that's why wouldn't you want to live in LeGrand?
Absolutely.
Till it snows.
And then we got to talk about snow removal.
Please don't.
We'll give you a pass on that one.
No, actually, I'll go with that. You know,
you want to tackle this one?
Definitely. Why not?
Do you know? Okay,
as a mayor, we have to tackle
I
them
believe
all.
somebody ran a couple of years ago on that as a platform. So
Yes.
okay, it's a hot topic.
You
Talk
know,
about
and the
it.
funny thing is about snow removal, and the best thing to explain to somebody is when those machines that go out, they cannot cut more. I mean, they got to have about 3 inches above the road. And the reason why is we do not want to tear up our roads that we already have issues with.
Sure.
And so if we have 4 or 5 inches out, you know, because they don't go out until 6 inches. And it's because of the expense. I mean, it's a large expense. And so why would you send someone out for an inch of snow for the large amount it is. So yes, that's why they go out at 6 inches.
Sure.
But they are working at that. They're working at different areas that have different levels of snow. And so they're going to try to, I'm not putting words in their mouth. I'm not telling you anything that they're going to do because they're the experts, not me.
Yeah.
They're telling me why they need to do this because they don't want to tear up our roads. They don't want to tear up the equipment, because you're riding one of those big snow plows.
Oh, goodness.
And you run a curb. I
Boy,
imagine
howdy.
that does not feel good.
No.
And so the safety of the employees is the other.
Okay.
The citizens, yes, is number one. We have to protect our employees. We got to protect our infrastructure. There is more than one simple answer to that one.
Sure.
And that's where I think sometimes it gets lost, is people don't look at the whole picture.
Sure.
And unfortunately, that's what we have to do.
Yeah. Well, which leads me to my next question. Okay, I've got a few more, and I'm going to do this as quickly as I can.
Sure.
Putting you on the spot.
Go ahead.
Social services. So again, in this climate we live in, the political climate, we're hearing a lot about social services and those types of provisions that come from a local, county, state, city, regional government. So talk about the city's involvement with any social services that are provided for local citizens.
I think the city tries to support as much as they can, but the problem is the means is not there. Of course, we definitely rely on all the departments besides the city to help with it in the different ways that they can, but the city unfortunately can't get too far into that.
Sure. And respect it. I totally respect that too. Well said. And I would imagine there is some type of partnership with your leadership that I could see happening. Okay, so let's get on to the next question. Justin, you are a high-thinking, mindful human being, rational, and I would imagine at times some of those city council meetings, maybe they're not as they're heated in essence. How do you deal with these conflicts? You'll have a group over here that strongly believes their way is the right way, and then on the other side you've got this other group that says our way is the right way, and the city council, and I've seen it, and if we have a heart for our city council and the decisions they have to make. How do you bring all that together? How do you deal with that, for lack of a better word, the conflict, and bring those sides together so that we can move forward? How do you do that?
So you have to try to find common ground. You really got to sit there and you got to basically need to walk in both sets of shoes. You need to see what they're looking at, what they're trying to explain to us, and then you need to see, what is best for everybody. Because, unfortunately, sometimes we're not always going to make everybody happy, but what we can do is try to do best for the whole community as a whole.
Okay, fair enough, and I think that's well said, and I think the heart is right with that as well. Okay, another question. I'd like to go back to economic development.
Yes.
When we think about economic development, we would like to see some growth, some new businesses come in, absolutely. Yeah. I think many would say, in balance. Again, the infrastructure that we see happening in Central Oregon, I'm not sure we could even do that today.
No, we could not.
And so, of course, there's some foresight that we won't get into now. So talk about your thoughts around this healthy economic development, and then the city's involvement with the city planner, the permitting process, the inspection process. And we've got the historical group too that goes to look in this historic district.
Correct.
So talk about how do you facilitate that as a leader to ensure that the businesses that need to thrive, need to grow, are able to do so, and that process is not so cumbersome that it will actually scare people away. So how are you going to
we've actually been working on that. We do a lot of work sessions, and as a council, we've already been trying to make the processes a little simpler. Unfortunately, we're not going to make it easy because it's not easy with what they have to accomplish.
Sure.
You can't just say, yes, you can do this. No, there's rules that come down from higher up, because of course we fall under the state of Oregon. And then above that is federal, We're just the lower end of that echelon. And so we have rules that we have to follow. There is some things that we can change, but we still need to make sure that everything is happening for a reason. When certain rules are put in place, there's a reason why that rule is put in place. It's to protect people.
Sure.
And protect businesses. You don't want to just throw something up and be unsafe. And, it's not that the city is trying to push people away. We're just trying to follow the rules.
Gotcha. Which is fair enough. I mean, that's fair enough. And there's got to be a fine line between those following the rules where they become overly cumbersome and it pushes businesses away
Correct.
versus the spirit of why we do what we do, why these decisions are made, and why these rules and regulations exist. It seems to me that you've got, as a mayor, a lot of different departments that you have to, is manage the correct word, oversee, influence?
We don't manage the departments. That's what the city manager's job is.
Okay.
You know, we set, we give him the guidance on how we want to go with things.
Sure.
And then he runs with it. But ultimately, it is the council and the mayor's decision on which way we want it to go.
Perfect.
You know, but in the same sense, he's always trying to look at what's best for the city. You know, trying to keep the city out of, you know, we don't want no more lawsuits than we have to. We don't want to pay, you know, legal fees and things like that. You know, there's a reason why we do these things. I know a lot of people are not happy with it sometimes, but unfortunately, there's a reason why we do it.
Sure. Okay, which brings me to another thought. What would you say to an average citizen like me, who perhaps we will be the first to say, I don't understand the rationale and the decision making behind this. I don't like it though. What would you recommend that person do to become more informed on the topic?
Okay. You know, the best thing to do is join the planning commission. No, that's. I mean, it's great because we need a full planning commission. But you know, there is different ways of finding that information. You can go to the different directors, and they can inform you why they're doing that. You know, they can give you the rules and regulations. This is why we do this. This is what's set forth in the city charter. You know, and if we don't like that, there is some of those that we can work on. But that is a very long process as well. It is not easy. Just, I don't like that rule, let's change it. No, that's not how it works. Because there's a lot of citizens, you know, there's a lot to changing a rule. You need to sit down, you know, we welcome citizens' input. All that stuff's always taken in consideration. And then, like I said, the rules is always number one to me.
Sure. Well, and those rules too are important. And
They are.
The thing that I would have to compliment our city on is I've been in city council meetings. There is a platform for citizens to speak up, to ask questions, to state their opinion. So there is that platform too. Okay, we've got a couple more questions. We're going to take another quick break. So hold on one second. Again, we've got Justin Rock with us, and he is a candidate for mayor. And we'll be right back after this message.
I'm Justin Rock, and I'm running for mayor. You know, in our economics in LeGrand, we have some great employers, some big employers. But always, what is the backbone of our community is our small business owners. To be a small business owner, you have to give it 110%. You have to give it all your life. And I respect each and every one of you. And I want to thank you all for all the hard work, what you put back into the community. Without those people, we wouldn't have sporting events that the kids get to do every day. Because small businesses is what puts money back in to help those events happen. There's many things that these small businesses will give and help, you know, to help our community grow. So without them, we wouldn't be who we are, and I want to say thank you.
Okay, we are back. Now, if you have been watching, you have probably thought to yourself, boy, we're getting into some pretty meaty subjects, some heavy topics, if you will. And we have, frankly, and Justin has said and shown that he has experience. He knows what he's talking about, and as he's running for mayor, he has given some good answers and some good rationale behind his thought process, especially as he thinks he can move our city to a successful place with our citizens. And so now what I'd like to do is, Justin, we're going to try to go into some fun things. Okay.
Okay.
Now, in the previous commercial that we just saw, you, it appears, are heavily invested in our community.
Very much so.
Okay, so
And everybody knows I'm a business owner, but also being a family man. You know, me and my wife, we're raising our son here. One of my big things that I always tell everybody is, I was born and raised in LeGrand. I loved living in LeGrand as a kid.
What did you love about it as a kid?
You know, it was, well, the funny thing is I never was anywhere else, so I didn't know any better. But no, I mean, just being raised here in LeGrand was just amazing, you know, because I have been out. You know, I've been to 21 different countries being in the Marine Corps. I've been to, actually, the funny thing
Wait,
is,
did you say 21 countries?
21 countries. I did 2
okay.
Westpacks where they put you on a ship
Okay.
and you float around. Yes, yes, 21 different countries. It was amazing too.
I'll bet. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm
No,
so
you're
sorry.
fine. Now
I
you're
just
gonna get me off
did I
topic.
hear that correctly? Okay, so you have been around the world
Oh, yeah.
in
No,
essence.
I've been
so
around the world.
you found yourself back here.
Correct.
Because you loved it. Okay, and as
Because
a
I
kid,
wanted to come back here. 'Cause
Okay.
I love this community.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where I want my son to be proud of where he comes from.
Yeah.
You know, I want him to have the things I had as a child. And it's not money or expensive things. I want him just to love his community.
Sure.
You know, playing sports, you know, I played Little League Baseball, and my uncle was a huge sponsor. And that's why I've sponsored. You know, I try to give back to the people that give to me. You know, they allowed me to play sports, you know, all the small businesses that donated and kept us going as kids, and not just sports. You know, you have Boy Scouts. You know, I was pretty big in the Boy Scouts at a younger age. Unfortunately, I didn't finish my Eagle Scout.
but you made it to life, I'm thinking.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
I still kick myself. I really wish, you know, because that's an amazing thing. Boy Scouts is a truly a amazing program for the kids.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, I do like to give back, and that's what I want my son to grow up in. I want him playing for the Tigers, like last night beating Pendleton. That was amazing. 93, it was, we went to Pendleton, and I was a junior in high school. Exact same scenario, raining, mud pit. Our white uniforms were covered. You know, mom and dad said, get on the bus because you're not getting in our car looking like that. But, you know, I mean, those are my experiences. Those are my memories. And that's what I want for my son.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think we definitely are on track. You know, we do have an amazing community. We just need to protect it and keep it going as we, you know, because times have changed.
They have.
Society has changed.
Yeah.
You know, things aren't what they used to be. But doesn't mean that we can't make them better.
Well, and that was, as you said that, I thought of a question for you, but talk more about, and I know, okay, for our viewers at home, I know, Justin, you are not a guy who wants to brag. You're not a guy who wants
brag.
to, the patting on the back and the, yay, Justin, I know that you're not that guy.
No.
You're not. You are a guy who is a very humble, mindful man. And with that said, though, I have to pull this out of you. Talk about what you are sponsoring. What are you giving to these days?
You know, I'm not going to go to exact, but, you know, of course, baseball, you know, rodeos, Boy Scouts, any of those events, and then, of course, numerous times the kids have came in and they look up at me with those eyes, and I'm just like, really? What can I do for you?
There you go.
You know, the flowers for the kids, you know,
Sure.
I always help.
Yeah.
I truly do.
Sure.
You know, and the reason why is it's a very simple answer, because someone helped me. I'm giving back to what someone else gave to me, and that's how we have to be in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Well, you're right. We have to remember whence we came from, and also understand that those make us who we are, and we want to definitely cherish those moments and give back to them. And I do see Rockin' Sons as a sponsor quite a bit in the
Yes.
rodeos and the fairs and all these other activities and events. So thank you for that. I guess as a general person, thank you for being so generous with that. So talk about what you love to do. When we think of Justin Rock, we know you're a business owner, you're a family guy, you love your community, and you are very involved in the city. You're a guy who said, I don't like what I'm seeing 17 years
Yeah.
ago. You said, I'm not sure I like this, so I'm going to run for a position, or I'm going to volunteer for a position and try again. So those are incredible.
But the funny thing is, now that I look back at me, I wasn't informed. You know,
okay.
I had to learn. And so, you know, it's different when you're walking in those shoes.
Sure,
You know, it's easy to say, yes, it's easy to make a decision. No, it's not.
sure.
No, it's not. If you're truly thinking about everyone, it is not an easy decision. But I'm always willing for a fight. I'm
Well-
ready to stand up and do what I think is best for the citizens and keep working, you know,
Sure.
to improve our community, because everybody can always improve. Even I can always improve.
Sure,
I'm not the
sure.
perfect person. I will never say I'm perfect.
You're not Superman?
No, sir.
Oh, that's funny.
I might wear red, but there's not an S.
No capes. No capes.
Maybe an RS on there, but not an S.
Love it. Well, okay, in the time we have left, let's do this.
Okay.
We've hit on a lot of things. We've talked about some issues you believe are important as far as your platform. You've talked about your love for this community and how you're giving back this community. You've also talked about your commitment to the city and the positions that the city offers. And now you're running to be the mayor of LeGrand.
Correct.
And that is a big, big deal.
It is big.
And
Big shoes to fill.
there's a lot going on there, big shoes to fill and big decisions. And as we think of where we're going with our current economy, you had said just a second ago, times have changed. Things have changed. You know, you think about your son growing up in this time frame, that you want the best for that little guy. And so with that in mind, talk about, yes, I guess look at the camera, look at me, however you want to do this, and tell us in this last segment, why do you want to do this again, and what's the passion motivating you, and what do you hope to accomplish?
I have actually quite a few passions. You know, I love my family. I love my business. You know, I love my community. And that's why every day I put my shoes on just like everybody else. I get up early in the morning. We won't go out.
Very early, yes.
Go to bed late, get up early.
Yeah.
But, you know, and the reason why is I love my community. I want to give back to the community that I grew up in. I want the kids to grow up in the community that I grew up in. I want them to have, you know, we can always do more. I would like, that would be another, you know, one of your 5 that you asked me.
Yeah.
Is the youth. You know, what can we do more for them? You know, unfortunately, we don't have the financing, but, you know, what can we do to maybe join with the school district, the county? What can we do to help the kids, you know?
There you go. And they are the future.
Oh,
and,
they are our future.
And that is excellent that you're thinking that way too, because in a lot of our adult time, whether it's city or county, we think of schools, we think of all that too. We didn't even talk about schools.
No.
However, you're right, and I'm glad you're thinking that way too.
Well, and one thing I think we get lost of looking in the present. We need to look to our future. As the city, as kids, we always have to be looking to our future, because whatever we do now will affect their outcome. You know, we have to build a strong base. If we don't have a strong base, it's just not going to be successful.
Okay, so with just a quick short time we have, what do you see in the future for LeGrand? If you could have your way, you could, the genie out of the bottle, so to speak, what do you see, your vision? What would it be?
I would like slow, progressive growth. I would like to see more small businesses coming in here, because truly that's the backbone of the city. You know, we need small businesses. And I would like to see, you know, more of the family wage jobs, which that's changing. Nobody can keep up with, you know, what is a family wage job. And that's what is hard for everybody, you know, because the dollar is tight. You know, expenses are going up everywhere, from, you know, businesses to at home, shopping, fuel. You know, what can we do to help? And that's where it's very tough answer. But, you know, I think the best thing is if we're like the tortoise, nice and slow and steady, we will get to that finish.
Oh, well, there you go. And what is that? This is a military term. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yes, it
Help me
is.
with that. Did I
My
get it
guys
right?
hear that all the time.
Did I get it right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yes, it is.
And I think that is a good accolade as far as your journey to the mayorship. So, okay, phenomenal time with Justin Rock. Thank you for viewing, tuning in and viewing this evening. Your time is valuable, and it's wonderful that you spend the time with us this evening to learn and to get to know Justin Rock a little bit. Again, he is a local businessman, and he is running for mayor. He's got the tenure as he has served the city for 17 years. You've heard his thoughts, his mind, his heart, his vision for the future, and you've got to see his leadership. And so Election Day is coming up soon. I want to remind you too that this program has been paid for by the committee to elect Justin Rock for mayor. And if you have any questions for Justin, he has said he would love to hear from you. His email address is questions@eoalivetv.tv. Now that's for here. Forgive me, Justin's email is, I don't want to mess this up, rockformayor22 rock4mayor22@gmail.com. Let me say it one more time, rock4mayor22@gmail.com. Okay, in the last few seconds, I'm going to give you the last word. Well, I might say good night and thank you for tuning in, but tell us what's the last thing on your mind as we're wrapping up this evening.
You know, the best thing I could say is I work hard at everything I do. I will give it 110% like everything I do in my life. If you can honor me to become mayor, vote for me for mayor on November 8th. I appreciate it.
There we go. And there it is. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.